Hello, hello. Hey there, hey there. Welcome into another edition of Between the Lines, where we go inside the pages of Success Magazine. I'm Josh Ellis, editor-in-chief of Success, and I'm joined today by Joe Sanok. He is a TEDx speaker, a keynote speaker, podcaster, and the author of the new book, Thursday is the New Friday, which we excerpt in the November-December edition of the magazine. Joe, excited to have you here to talk about the excerpt and the book and this movement.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
So we don't get into it too much if people have only seen the magazine, but you have an interesting background that sort of led you to really be a believer in this new paradigm.
Yeah, the 4-day work week for me is something that, even I remember my freshman orientation at college when the advisor said, all right, make your schedule. I was like, wait, what? I don't have to have class on Friday? And, when we go into our career, we kind of sway away from a lot of that. And I got busy and in 2012 had a really tough time. My daughter had open heart surgery that year. I had cancer that year. And a lot of things just made me shift to say, why am I living this way? And a lot of it was going back to my roots of, working less, but really being really efficient during my time. And so a number of years ago, I started doing some experiments around working fewer days to just see what would happen, and started with myself and a bunch of consulting clients. And what happened was every month was better than the month before financially. I was happier. I was around the people I wanted to be around. And then over time, I realized that that was a bit of a superpower, that not everybody was thinking that way. And so it was great to start to help other people do that and just see what unfolded for them.
So many of the people watching us now, and the readers of Success, are just like you were when you started your consultancy. They're solopreneurs who they just want to live and work on their own terms. But for a lot of people, that can be just as limiting and trapping as having a job, because you have to be deliberate about it. So what are some of the steps that you learned along the way to make work for you?
Yeah, I think one of the big problems in most self-help books or teachings or keynotes is they usually fall into one of two categories. On one side, you've got the productivity, here's all the 5 steps to do whatever the pain is that you want to overcome. Or on the other side, there's kind of the woo-woo vision board, just manifest it and don't do any work and it'll all come to you side. But no one really brings that together. And each one of those things actually taps into what the neuroscience is showing us. And that's that when you actually slow down, that you do better work. And we know this intuitively. When do we have our best ideas? We have these shower moments where we're not, serving the kids, we're not running at work. It's like, oh, I just made this amazing connection while I was taking a shower, or I was on a long drive without the radio on, or maybe on a hike, that our brains actually are more efficient and more creative when we slow down. And so we often have this kind of hustle culture mentality where we work. And that often comes from if we're a solopreneur, we probably like the work that we're doing because we have that choice. And so if you're passionate about it, it's really hard to say, I should stop being passionate about this. But when you start to see that setting really firm boundaries in some area and soft boundaries in other areas actually unlocks more creativity and more success, that's where those two worlds finally come together, where the slowing down actually helps you to speed up.
We work the way we do because it seems that's just the way it's always been. Our parents work this way, our grandparents work this way. But as we start off the excerpt, we talk about, as you lay out in the book, the 5-day work week comes from Henry Ford. He put it in place. One of the first major companies, anyway, in the U.S. to put it into place. But that was it was nice, but it was only an improvement from the way things were then, which was like 6 days a week and you work 12 hours a day, which was an improvement at one point in time from when you just worked every day. And like, be glad that surf, be glad that the nobles are letting you like even live on their land, right? Are we headed for a time where work is optional? I don't know. What is the end result of maybe this evolution?
Yeah, I think, the end result, I think in our generation, we will see the 4-day work week be more the norm. And that's looking at the historical context. Whenever I look at something, I want to understand, how did we get here? Several thousand years ago, the Babylonians made up the 7-day week. There's nothing in nature that says it
Yeah.
should be 7 days. The Egyptians had an 8-day week. The Romans had a 10-day week. It wasn't even until around the year 300, the Emperor Constantine made it the 7-day week. And that was a religious decision for him. And so then fast forward to the 1800s, you're exactly right that it was a big step forward for people to work only 10 to 14 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. Like, that was good for the evolution of humanity. And then when Henry Ford in 1926 wanted to sell more cars to his people, he knew that they weren't going to buy a car to just get to work faster, but they needed to have some leisure time. And so it was more to sell cars to his own people and to others. And so that was a step forward. But now we're seeing that we have undone so much that the industrialists gave us. We don't look at our employees as just pieces of a machine. We know that there's more complexity there. We know personally that we want passion in our work. We want a purpose for the world. We want to do things that somehow better society while also making money and being successful. And so we see that even Friday has started to move away from the work week anyway. It's when we host, birthday parties, or we might do a baby shower or some team building activity, but we're not, it's not a fully worked day anyway. And so I firmly believe that if we move it just into the weekend category, we're going to see the productivity just go through the roof for those 4 days. There's a great case study I talk about in the book, Kalamazoo Valley Community College. So you think community colleges, that's a pretty strong institutional mindset. And this HVAC instructor started running numbers about how much they were spending on air conditioning in the summer to air condition these empty buildings that very few students were in on Fridays. And he went to the board, and he had taken pictures every Friday from the roof to show how few people were there. He made the case for a 4-day work week. And they actually found that by eliminating Fridays in the summer, they've saved millions of dollars just in air conditioning costs. And then you look at the healthcare costs, the happiness, the retention of people. When you think about when someone leaves a company, just how much training it takes to bring someone back up to that same speed. You save one person for an extra year, and that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're saving. So the case for it economically is actually strongly made in the research when you look at it.
What sort of dominoes have to fall for this to be a nationwide, society-wide type thing? I mean, I think about even here in the U.S., we are so dug into the hustle culture as compared to like Europe, where our our counterparts over there are in the middle of a month-long holiday right now. What has to happen here in the U.S. for this to be widely embraced?
Yeah, I think there's enough emerging research that's coming out. I mean, Iceland's study of 2,500 people living the 4-day work week, I think that's helpful. I think there's a big discussion happening post-COVID and post-pandemic, where globally we all worked different. And most of us who are smart are saying, why did we work that way? Do we want to go back that way? Is that really the best model for us? I do think it's going to take, a number of influential companies to move forward in that. And we're seeing that start to happen. But also, I think it can be a people's movement, where we question this. We ask, hey, can we do an experiment within our team? So we've got a team of 5 people for 2 months. Can we just try a 4-day work week? Talk to the supervisor, say, what are the KPIs? What are the key performance indicators that we're going to analyze? How are we going to look to see if this actually helps the company or hurts it? And let's just try it. That for those 2 months, the people that have a 4-day work week are going to bust it to try to make sure that they can prove that the 4-day work week works. And so I think it's going to be kind of micro influencers within companies, but then also on a macro scale, we're going to see larger companies continue to switch over or to at least experiment with it.
The thing that comes to mind is it's a change, and so people fear it, but just it doesn't necessarily, there's no reason to think, on top of all the evidence that you cited, that it would be worse. Like, there's some sectors, think about like travel and hospitality sectors, where like an extra day on the weekend, yeah, that would be huge for them, that sort of thing. And me personally, I love the idea of a little mini weekend right in the middle of the week, Wednesday, just something, Monday, Tuesday. It makes Monday so much easier to know that the mini weekend is just 48 hours away.
A lot of people say, well, does it have to be Friday? And I would say this book, unlike a lot of them where it's prescriptive, like here's the one model you have to do, it's more of a menu to say, let's have this conversation and question what life after the industrialists look like. Yeah. So for you, it might be, I would love to just work 2 days, break 2 days. Awesome. You're still instilling the concepts into how you live and how you work.
Joe, definitely appreciate you joining me today. I know if folks check this story out in the November, December issue, they'll want to pick up the book. It's available everywhere. Thursday is the new Friday. Check out Joe Sanok's work. We appreciate you so much, Joe. And thank all of you for sticking with us for another edition of Between the Lines. We'll do it again next week. So long, everybody.